Hello and welcome to today's lesson, a fraction review. First, let's talk about the important vocabulary words and terms that you will need to know for today's lesson. The first word is whole. This is an entire object, collection of objects, or quantity being considered in a problem situation, or 100%. It can also be referred to as one or the unit whole. Our next word is denominator. This is the number that is found on the bottom of the fraction. When fractions are standing for division, this is the number that you are dividing by. Numerator is our next word. This is the number that's always found on the top of a fraction. When you are using a fraction to show division, this is the number that's being divided. Finally, we have the term unit fraction. This is a fraction whose numerator is 1. For example, 1/2, 1/3, 1/12, 1/8, and 1/20 are all unit fractions. Unit fractions are especially useful in converting among units within measurement systems. For example, because 1 foot equals 12 inches, you can multiply a number of inches by 1/12 to convert to feet. This fraction shown on the screen right here is also considered a unit fraction because its numerator is 1. Now, let's talk about some basic fraction concepts. Fractions can be written vertically as a over b, or horizontally as a/b. The number below or to the right of the fraction bar is called the denominator. Denominator is here, denominator is here. The denominator names the number of equal parts into which the whole is divided. The number above, or to the left of the fraction bar, is called the numerator. The numerator names the number of parts under consideration. Fractions in which the denominator and numerator are the same number are equivalent to 1. So for example, 6/6, 12/12, 36/36, all of those are equal to 1 whole. A fraction may also represent division. For example, 3/4 is another way of saying 3 divided by 4, which looks like this. Can look like this, or it can look like this. All of those mean 3 divided by 4. Fractions can also express probability. For example, the chance that a die will land with a 3 up is 1 out of 6, or 1/6. Fractions are used to compare two quantities as ratios. 1 out of 2 students in the class is a boy, so 1/2 of the class are boys. Or fractions can also compare rates. The car's gas mileage is 100 miles to 4 gallons of gas. These are just a few of the ways that fractions can be used in the real world. Now let's talk about solving parts and whole problems with fractions. This first picture represents a set of 15 counters. What fraction of the set is black? If you said 6/15, or you reduced it to 2/5, you were correct. 6 of these counters, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, out of the entire 15 are black. Now let's look at this second picture with a different idea in mind. If 12 counters are the whole set, and if you count inside this box, you'll see that there are 12 blue dots. How many counters are 1/4 of the set? So what they're asking you to figure out here is, given the whole, what is a fraction of that whole? I can go about solving this a couple of different ways. One thing I can do is come in and figure out how to divide all of these blue counters up into 4 equal sets, because 4 is my denominator that I'm looking for. So to do that, I can simply draw some lines in, and there I've got 4 equal sets, and it looks like there are 3 counters in each set. The other thing I can do is I can actually take the number 12 and divide it by 4, because the fraction we're looking for is 1/4. This is why I would go through and divide by 4. Either one of these methods is going to give us the same answer, that 3 counters is 1/4 of that set. Now let's look at our final picture, and here's the question I have for you. If 6 counters are half of a set, how big is the set? This picture shows 6 counters as part of that set that they're talking about. This problem is where the part is given and a fraction is named, but you have to find the entire or the whole that they're being represented. If I know that 6 is equal to 1/2, what I need to figure out is what is equal to 2/2, or how many counters are 2/2 worth. So all I have to do here is multiply 6 times 2, which gives me 12, which makes 12 how much my whole is worth. The next topic we're going to cover today is finding a fraction of a whole and how that works. Let's use the following word problem to practice. In a school election, 141 fifth graders voted. 1/3 voted for Shira and 2/3 voted for Bree. How many votes did each girl get? Here are the fractions we're dealing with. We're dealing with the idea of 1/3 who voted for Shira. We're also dealing with the idea of 2/3 who voted for Bree. Our whole is 141, and this is the number that's going to be important when figuring out our final answer. But how can we figure out how many students voted for each person? Well, we need to do a simple division problem where we divide 141 by 3 to figure out what the unit part or the unit fraction is. When I divide 141 by 3, I get 47. So that means that 47 is 1/3 as the unit fraction of 141. Since 1/3 of the students voted for Shira, that means that she got 47 votes. Now I have to figure out how many votes Bree received, and there are a couple of different ways I can go about doing this. One of those ways is that I can simply take 141 and subtract 47, which leaves me with 94. Since 1/3 has already been used and I have 2/3 left, and I know that 3/3 is a whole, I know that 94 stands for 2/3 of that number. Another way I can go about doing this is to simply take the number 47 and multiply it by 2, which is equal to 94. You can see that either way I get the same answer, but there are 2 different approaches that I could have taken to solve this problem. So Bree received 94 total votes. Here is your practice problem for the day. 80 students voted for their favorite kind of pizza. 30 chose cheese, 26 chose pepperoni, and 24 chose sausage. What fraction of students chose pepperoni? Write your fraction making sure that it has both a numerator and a denominator. Remember that the denominator needs to represent the whole or the entire amount of students who voted. The top number or the numerator needs to represent the number that chose pepperoni. If you can, reduce the fraction as far down as it can go. Good luck!